the configuration of the defined centers that determines type. That's where you get your manifestor, your generator, manifesting generator, projector, and reflector. So we're just going to go over those briefly. And so first up, we have our manifestor. And so a manifestor chart, you can identify that because the sacral, which is that square, the second square from the bottom, the sacral is undefined. It'll be white, right? And there's also a motor to the throat. So it's that combination of the undefined sacral and the motor to the throat, which makes a manifestor. This is just the basics of
to be able to look at the chart and recognize the type just from diagnosing a chart. Yeah, this is important skill for everyone to know. Absolutely. And it's easy.
Yeah, it's an easy thing, but the sacral's undefined and there's a motor to the throat. Those are the three very specific manifestor channels. You could also, if you have the root up to the spleen to the throat, that could also create like another form of the manifestor.
Any direct connection that you can draw a line from a motor to the throat, even if it goes like the ego goes through the will, goes through the G
Identity.
center.
Yeah,
that will still be a manifestor, period. It's a motor to the throat directly connected through a direct line and no sacral.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So then we have the generator, the pure generator. And so the pure generator, the sacral is defined. So that square, that second square from the bottom, it's colored in red. So the sacral is defined and there's no motor to the throat for the pure generator. It's the red sacral defined, and then the motor is not making it to the throat in any way.
Yep. A third of the population is this.
Absolutely. And then the specifying it with the manifesting generator, because that one's a little different. So it has the sacral defined like the pure generator, the sacral being that red square, the second from the bottom, but then it also has a motor connection to the throat.
Yeah, it's really important. And what you're seeing in this connection to the throat is the classic manifesting generator channel of 3420. But any type of direct connection of a motor to a throat, if the sacral is defined, now you've got a generator. And just to be really clear, if the sacral's defined, you're a generator. Doesn't matter, manifesting or pure generator, emotional generator or not, a generator is a generator, and you get in touch with that strategy and authority. And you'll start to see why is it God decide to put so many of us on this planet.
we need someone to be building
and
creating
somebody
the world.
keep going. Yeah, right. It's so funny. I love it.
Absolutely. So
I accept.
That's your generator and your manifesting generator. And then next up, we have the projector. So to see in a chart, a projector, the sacral is undefined. So that square, that second square from the bottom is undefined. It's white, and there's no motor to the throat. And so there's a lot of variety in the types of projectors. It's the most varied of the types and the configurations that you can have.
Totally.
So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, totally. It can be anything. There's so many different ones. And that's the thing. There's also a bunch of different authorities with the projector. And the projector is the most nuanced one. And it's got the most sophisticated strategy as far as I can tell. And never mind the authority part of it. So can't wait we'll get into that more when we read for projectors. But notice how busy it is too. Projected channels are the most numerous. Right? So.
Yeah. And then finally, we have our reflectors where there's no defined center. So they have all hanging gates, but all the centers are white.
There's not much to say. There's hanging gates everywhere. They'll still have the same amount of activations. They'll still have the same, they'll still have an incarnation cross, a set of nodes. They'll still have drives and focuses in their moons and truths in their Plutos. It's just that they get to go through the whole process of being lit up by the moon. And the one thing to point out about this is, so A, you got to have no definition. There is no definition. So no one life force. And B, they are a lunar being, and the rest of us are solar beings. Not that we're any different in our blood type per se. I'm just saying we do follow the sun as it relates to reading our chart. And when you read a reflector chart, you have to follow that lunar cycle to get them to fully understand what's the scoop. And by the way, you'll never meet a reflector that you can't say to them, hey, you've been following the moon since you were a kid. You got any special relationship you care to share? And they all have an answer to that. Or they've been living under a rock, but they all have an answer. They all have an answer to that.
Yeah, there's a connection there. Just a different vibe between, the solar beings and the lunar beings. We're all humans, delightfully so, just a different kind of vibe, and our unique snowflakeness.
Absolutely.
So.